Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we have my top 10 favorite games as of August 2021. First off, I have a couple honorable mentions here before we get to the main list. My first honorable mention here is Terraforming Mars. This is a engine building game. Most people know Terraforming Mars. It's been around for a little while. It's a really good game where you're terraforming Mars, you're laying tiles, you're changing the, you know, changing the surface of Mars, hitting it with meteorites, making oceans, all that kind of stuff to terraform Mars. But this game barely got pushed off the list. It was the number 10 in my initial list, but another game came in and replaced it right here at the last minute, essentially. The other honorable mention I have is Lords of Waterdeep. And I really like this game. It's a worker placement. It's got some neat mechanisms. It's got the quest cards, and you're trying to collect the different adventurers to fulfill the quest requirements. And really like this game. Played it at multiple player counts, and really like it with the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion. But without further ado, let's get into the top 10. Okay, we have number 10. And here it is, Cascadia by Randy Flynn, illustrated by Beth Sobel. Cascadia is a tile-laying game. Recently got this from Kickstarter, and really like this tile-laying game. I've played well over 20 solo games and several multiplayer games at 2 players, and just really like this game. This replaced, well, I guess pushed Terraforming Mars off the list, as I said earlier, but I don't know what else to say about it. Tile laying, animals, all that kind of stuff, and that's my number 10. Okay, now for the number 9, we have Clank. Really like Clank. Love deck building. It's up there in my top game mechanics. We used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering, and I built a lot of decks that way, but this is on-the-fly deck building as you play the game with the kind of dungeon crawly, go in, get your artifacts and score your points and get out before you accumulate too much clank and draw too much attention and the big bad destroys you. Really like Clank, have several of the expansions, played with a lot of the different maps. I do like regular Clank better than Clank in Space, but I like the sci-fi references in Clank in Space. But there's my number 9. Okay, for my number 8, we have the Isle of Cats. I really like the Isle of Cats. I like the polyominoes and the putting everything, Tetris style, onto your boat, trying to get the groups and cover the mice and getting rid of the negative points and the bonus points for filling in the rooms, as well as really like card drafting. I like the card drafting mechanic. You draft your cards, you buy the cats and treasures and all that to cover your boats. But Isle of Cats, my number 8. Really fun game. Okay, for my number 7, we have Wingspan. Wingspan, signed by Elizabeth Hargrave and Stonemaier Games. Sorry. This is a kind of engine building, dice drafting game. You're buying these bird cards, you're putting them on your board, you're activating, and kind of creating an engine to get more resources and points and win the game, as in most games. But that is my number 7, Wingspan. Okay, on to my number 6, we have The Quacks of Quedlinburg. I really like deck building, and this is essentially deck building, but with a bag. We have bag building. This is by Wolfgang Warsch, and it's a really fun game. You're getting the ingredients, buying the ingredients, you are putting them in your bag, you're drawing them out, placing them on your board, trying to fill in your cauldron while trying not to bust. You have that push your luck element of keep going. Do y'all want to draw more? Do I want to draw more? But if you bust, you get a pick either or if you want your points or your resources to buy more of the ingredients. But that is my number 6, Quacks of Quedlinburg. Okay, now for my number 5, we have Viscounts of the West Kingdoms. Really like Viscounts, probably my favorite out of the West Kingdom trilogy. I really like Paladins. They're probably really close to each other, but I decided to pick one, and Architects is really good as well. But I like playing this solo more than the other two, and that was the reason this made it on the list over the other two. But Viscounts of the West Kingdom, it's kind of a rondel movement, almost worker placement-ish kind of game, where you're moving your guy around the board, collecting different resources, playing your cards down. It's a really fun game, really like it. Does 1 to 6 players. But that is my number 5, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. Okay, time for number 4. My number 4 game is Role Player. This is the big box version or add-on or whatever you want to call it from the Kickstarter. I have all the expansions and promos and all that for this game. This is one of those games I really, really like playing with about every player count. I think I've played 3, maybe I can't remember if I've played 4 players or not, but played a lot of times solo and all that. Really, really like Role Player, where you're kind of making like a D&D style character, but you're drafting dice, you're buying equipment, and kind of building your character, trying to reach your stat goals if you're looking for intelligence or strength or whatever, and you get bonuses for your placement of your dice. And it's a really, really fun game. Really like it. And that's my number 4 roll. Okay, time for number 3. Number 3 is a big game, Gloomhaven. I really, really like Gloomhaven. I haven't got it to the table recently. I've been playing the smaller version, the Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. But really like Gloomhaven, the card mechanic where you use the top of one card, bottom of the other card. Really, really like that. Really like dungeon crawling games, and this is by far my favorite of that style of dungeon crawling. And I mean, everyone knows Gloomhaven, I'm sure. It's been on the hottest games for a long time, but that's my number 3, Gloomhaven. Okay, now we're down to number 2. And honestly, number 2 and number 1 could be a toss-up on considering what day it is, but they're really close, like almost tied as in my favorite game. But I'll put this one right under because I like the other one just a little more probably, and that is Blood Rage. Really, Blood Rage, great game. Area control, resource management, all that kind of stuff. Miniatures, really cool miniatures. And like the Viking theme, the Norse theme. Blood Rage, excellent game, and that is my number 2. Okay, now for what we've all been waiting for, the number 1, which is Champions of Midgard. And this is the Kickstarter version with both expansions in there. And I have a lot of the promos and all that stuff. Ever since I got this game, talk a little bit about it first here. Champions of Midgard, worker placement, is central mechanism. You have the cool thing where you get the dice, and those dice count as your warriors, and you can send them out on various fighting missions, kill missions, whatever you want to call it, to fight monsters or fight the troll or the Draugrs or the new ones in the expansion, the Bear Grizzers, or however you pronounce it. But ever since I got this game back in 2017 or whatever it came out, it's been one of my favorite games I've played. This is probably my most played game out of every game I own, and my collection is around 200 games as of right now. But really, really like Champions of Midgard. The expansions really elevated it, especially Valhalla where it adds in, where your dice die and you get the tokens, and then you can spend them to buy cards, and an end game like super goal that's can potentially swing you a huge amount of points. I've gotten, for instance, the one that gives you points for having every monster you have, and just swung in at the end with like 45 points. And really, really like this game. And that's my number one, Champions of Midgard, with both of the expansions, or without, it'd probably still be my number one. That's it for my top 10 games of all time, or as of August 2021. Don't forget to like, comment, and all of that stuff. And remember, as always, have a great day.